Okay, round 10 for the hunter, punch push. Now we use this to keep your opponent on the ropes. You can turn your punch into a push, or at close range, use your forearm. So, close the door, punch push. All right, if I clinch, use your forearm. Okay, let's bring that into the movement.
Okay, so the next one, guys, we're looking at corner work. Obviously, the difference between a corner in a boxing ring and a corner in the cage is the cage is solid. You've got a solid post behind it. So it hasn't got any give, you can't get out the corners. So with that, we use the fence to roll off of, to carry on this movement. What worst thing to happen in the cage is we don't want to get boxed in, right, and trapped against it. So we have to use that momentum to roll on it. Whereas a corner in a boxing ring, we can hit it, move out. Okay, so this is my cage wall. All right, how am I going to roll off it? So if I want to keep moving this direction, it's my furthest away side, my furthest away hip and shoulder blade is going to hit it. Okay, so as I'm moving around, my furthest away hip and shoulder blade will drop back and I will roll, keep my momentum going. Again, corner post, solid on a cage, can't work off of that. Yeah, cage wall I can. Right, same again, moving, shoulder blade here, keeps my momentum going. Same on the other side, I want to keep going this way, furthest away point. Roll, moving. Okay? Obviously then, if I'm changing direction, it'll be the nearest hip and shoulder blade. So I'm moving this way, nearest hip to it, carry on. Same again, off the cage wall, roll, carry on. Yeah, this is just to stop me getting pinned on that cage. Okay, guys? Okay, so the difference now in the boxing ring is, one, we've got ropes, yeah, and the corner angle is slightly different. So similar principle, but I can hit it with a little bit more impact. I don't necessarily need to roll as such. Okay, so same thing now. If I want to change direction, yeah, or sorry, keep going the same way, it's my furthest away hip and shoulder blade. So I want to keep moving around this side. My further away hip touches the corner, my head goes down the line. Yeah, a common thing with this one is me hit the corner and I come forward like so. I need to kind of kill that bounce, suppress that bounce a little bit. Alright, so same again here. I want to keep going, same direction. Yeah, furthest away hip from that corner post. We're going to turn, that's my momentum. Same thing, changing direction, furthest away hip and shoulder blade. If I want to change direction, obvious, the one that's nearest to it. Okay, so I come back, I'm being trapped, nearest shoulder blade, nearest hip, come back. Change direction, change. There's my position. Okay, so that's how it differs between a boxing ring and in a cage where I'd roll. Alright, camera jump in, mate. Let's demo it, mate. So what we're going to do now is, I've got camera with me, I'm going to follow him, camera's going to work over the corners. Sometimes he's going to change direction, sometimes he's going to hit the corner but keep going the same way as well. Alright, mate? Okay, let's go.
question here. When would you cut the corner and come back, and when would you change direction?
Okay, so when we would change direction, either keep going in the same way, depends on where our opponent's going to be. Obviously, if we're in this position here, the hands up to stay in the corner, okay? If we've got a 50-50 here, ideally we want to be going away from my opponent's rear hand. Yeah, because I've got 50-50 space. Okay, where it would change, and space is always our friend, is that if I'm slightly here, he's going to be going off that side. So stop here, Cam. So if he's moving around this way and the space is still that way, he's going to be going same direction, right? Going through out that side. That's where the space is, all right? If I was to track him and follow him across, so for example, I have it in my mind that he's going to be going out that way. I'm going to step across and try and shut that door, not let him through. He'll pick up on that, understand that the space is back this way. So going back here. So I've come off and stepped across him, I'm not letting him through. Now the space is on this side. Okay guys, so wherever the space is, that's where you want it to go. Okay guys, happy? All right, let's do it.
In this series, we're going to look at what to do when your opponent's driving you towards the cage and how to turn them into the cage. So if Tommy's out here, and we've got into, for the moment, a 50-50. So we're in this over-under position, one hand over, one hand under, head is down, and Tommy's dropped his shoulder down to my sternum and started to drive me towards the cage. And obviously he wants to get me towards the cage because it's easier for him to execute takedowns, or it's easier for him to strike and ground and pound. So I need to stop him when I'm about a meter out from the cage. So when I get to kind of one step or two steps away from the cage, I need to turn him onto the cage. So we're going to the 50-50. Tommy's walking me, drops his shoulders down towards my sternum and starts to drive his legs in. As I feel myself get close to the cage, just good cage awareness, I'm going to drive up with my underhook and pull down on the overhook side, pull down on the elbow, and use that momentum as he drives to turn him into the cage. And as soon as I get there, my thumb is going to go in the V of his elbow. I'm going to peel off his underhook if I can, go with an uppercut, a hook, and then I can start to drive into my own takedown. So round one. You can get into the 50-50 anyway. Tommy could give me a jab cross on the hook, and then he can get in and pummel into the 50-50. He starts to drop his shoulder down, starts to drive me. As I feel myself stop, feel myself approaching the cage as he drives, I'm going to drive up with my underhook and pull down on my overhook and pivot my rear leg out of the way. So I pull him into the cage. As he's flying towards the cage, I'm going to get grip of his underhook, clear it, punch with the uppercut, hit the hook, and then I can get into any sort of double leg takedown I like. So that's round number one. I'm lifting on the underhook side, pulling on the overhook and pivoting out the way. Number two, we go back into the position. He gives me maybe a jab cross hook to enter, gets into the 50-50. We start pummeling, he starts to drive. Stop. So sometimes it feels easier for me to take him this way. So my rear hand is going to reach up and try and attach to his shoulder, scapular area, all in between his sort of spine and his spinal muscles, and kind of latch onto his traps. I start to pull him towards the cage with this hand, and the overhook side, I'm going to start to lift his elbow up as I pull. So there's a combination this one of the pull and the lift as he drives towards me to turn him into the cage again. Once again, I get this V into his elbow joint, drop the weight down a little bit, uppercut, hook, and then I can get into my double leg. So round two, I'm pulling him the other way. This I'm pulling him towards my underhook side. On the last one, I push him with my underhook. So when the 50-50 again, he drops his shoulder down, starts to drive. As I feel myself about a meter away from the cage, I'm going to pull hard on his lap, onto his trap, lift the elbow, the other side, spin him into the cage, and then control his hands. Start to counter strike to set up my own takedown. You don't necessarily have to add in the strikes, but I think it helps it be more effective. And the third round is, I'm going to take him one way, so as he starts to drop and drive, and I take him this way first, I take him, lift him with my underhook, and he kind of bases and balances. I then switch directions and turn him back the other way, pin again, bam, bam, and then I can get in my own shot. So third round, I'm going to try and take him one way, and then reverse it and take him the other way, and you can go both directions. So one more time. Let's use an entry of a jab cross and hook. Body covering, he pummels his underhook, we both get to 50-50, drops his shoulder. I'm going to pull him towards my right to start, doesn't work. Pull him back the other way. Clear, here's underhook, strike, and get into my own takedown. So that round was specifically on what to do when you're approaching cage and how to reverse the person.